Welcome to the UCA Library online tutorial for music education students to find articles in our databases. We will begin our search at the UCA Library's homepage. The web address for that is uca.edu/library. Under Find Information on the homepage, we're going to select Articles and Databases. This will take us to an alphabetical listing of all of the databases we have available in our collection. We can search databases by title if you already know what you're looking for. For example, if your professor has told you you need to go to JSTOR, you can either scroll down the page, it's just alphabetical, so just scroll down till you hit J, or you can click and navigate at the top of the page and select J, which will display all of the J for JSTOR databases. So you can scroll or click through if you already know the title. If you don't already know the title, you can also see just what databases we have available by different subject areas. You can simply do that by clicking the drop-down menu in the All Subjects box. Click that drop-down arrow and we're going to scroll down until we see our education databases. We're going to select that, and this will take us to a list of the available education databases. We have several options here. We're going to begin with Education Research Complete, and we will explore other options later. At this point, when you click on Education Research Complete, you will be required, if you are off campus, to enter your name, UCA ID, and your library PIN. So if you haven't already created that library PIN, please go back and look at the previous video tutorial for a quick demonstration of how to create a library PIN. If you need help with your library PIN at any time, you can call the library's circulation desk at 501-450-3174. So I'm going to open up Education Research Complete. If you are off campus, you'll need that PIN, and then the next page you will see should be the green and blue EBSCO symbol up in the top left of the page, and then it'll show you that you are searching Education Research Complete. I always want to be sure that people understand the difference between the name of the specific database that they are searching versus the brand of their database. In this case, EBSCO is the brand. EBSCO is a big giant publishing company. They make lots of different types of databases. Beyond education, they do psychology, history, art, business, all kinds of stuff. So we're just looking at Education Research Complete. I want to make sure everybody is okay with that. The really great thing about EBSCO being a big giant publishing company is since they do make lots of different databases, we can choose to select and search multiple EBSCO databases at the same time. This is easy to do by clicking on the Choose Databases link next to the database. This will pop up with a box that allows you to choose from all the different EBSCO databases that we have. You can search them on the same platform, killing multiple birds with one stone. Keep in mind that this is not a complete list of all of UCA's databases. It's only the ones that we purchase from the company EBSCO. We purchase from lots of other companies, so if you're having trouble finding the right kinds of resources here, you may want to try some other places. All of the database titles are listed, and most of them are fairly self-explanatory or straightforward, such as the business ones. If we scroll down, we can see we have several options in terms of education databases. These may look familiar from the previous education databases page we were looking at just a minute ago. I'm going to go ahead and select Education Full Text and also ERIC. Now if you come across one of these databases and you're not sure what it is or what it means, maybe like ERIC, you can always hover over the little bubble next to the database name. It will pop up and give you a brief description. In this case, we know that ERIC is the Education Resource Information Center. You can select as many or as few databases as you want at this point, and depending on what your topic is, you may want to select additional or fewer databases depending on the kinds of results you're getting the kind of luck that you're having with your search. If you're doing something that has to do with learning theories in music education, you may want to consider the two psychology databases, PsycInfo and PsycArticles. Okay, for every search that I ever do, I always go ahead and throw in Academic Search Premier because it's very broad and overarching and it just finds a lot of different stuff that kind of fills in the cracks in some of your research. So we have 4 databases selected currently. We're going to click OK. And now when I go back to my search screen, I'm going to click Show All, and that will expand and let me see all the databases that I'm searching at the same time. So now that we have our databases selected, it's time to choose some keywords, terms that we're going to put into the database to get some results and see what happens. The one thing that we see happen most often with students is they get a little bit intimidated at this particular point. This search screen has a lot going on. There are boxes in the middle, drop-down arrows on the left, drop-down arrows on the right, and search options below. A lot of times we'll see students get a little bit overwhelmed at this point because this really isn't like what they're most familiar with, which is probably Google. So what we see students do is they'll refer back to Google because that's kind of what they know and that's what they feel comfortable with. But when you treat the databases like Google, you don't get as good of results. I'm going to demonstrate a couple of different options like that for you here so that you can see what happens when you treat the databases like Google. Then we're going to go in and break down that search and show you the best way to get the most relevant resources for your search. So Google only has one search box, and most people tend to default to just using this one top search box in our databases. And the other thing that we tend to do a lot with Google is to ask it questions. So let's see what happens when we do that with the database. So we're going to ask the database what types of assessment work best in music education. We're going to hit search. So when we get some results, looks like we have about 12,000, a little over that. And we can start digging through these 12,000 results to see what works and see what doesn't work. But that's a lot of results to go through. And most people probably don't have that kind of time or energy or persistence to go through that many results. So what we can do is instead of asking the database questions, let's break this down into our really main core topic so that we can pull some keywords out. So in order to do that, we're going to take assessment and music education. Run this search and see the difference in the number of results that we get. Now we're all the way down to 166. This is a much more manageable number to work with. But pay attention and be careful because at this point, maybe 166, these might be okay articles, but they may not be the best articles. And it really matters, it really is very important to consider what terms you are using for your keywords and what content you are putting into the database search fields. Consider what content you're putting in, how you're putting it in, and look at all the different options that you have, because just by making a few adjustments, we can see a fairly significant change in the total number of results that we see. So I'm going to take music education to show you this as an example, take it out of the first box, plug it into the second box, rerun this search, and now instead of 166 results, I have about 2,100 results, simply by changing up how I input that information. Something else you may want to consider is assessment may not always be the best word to use. You may need to use testing. You may need to use evaluation. There are lots of different options that you can use here, so always be sure to be flexible with your search terms. I like to sit down and brainstorm on the different concepts that I'm thinking about, writing those down, putting them in Google Keep or Google Doc or something like that, so that you can have that content available and you can add more stuff to your search, change things up, see what works, see what doesn't, and be flexible with that search. A lot of times we get students telling us they can't find anything, and it's not always necessarily that there's no content out there, it's just that they're not using the right kinds of search strategies to get the best results. So at this point, 2100 results is probably more than we also want to deal with, so we can start refining our search by using the different options that are available from the databases. So we have drop-down menus both on the left and on the right. Let's explore the ones on the right first. It tells us we can select a field, and this basically allows us to be very specific with the database. We can tell it specifically where we want to look for the word assessment. What part of the article do we want to find that keyword? If I hit the drop-down menu, I can look for it in all text. I can look for it in the author field, in the title field. You have quite a few different options here. I like to go with the abstract field to start. The abstract is a summary of the entire article. If your keywords occur in the summary, it's probably going to be a pretty relevant article for your research. The other options here probably will give you some varying forms of success, but abstract tends to work best, at least for the beginning researcher. So let's use that as our starting example. I'm going to select abstract for all of my fields, so I want to find both assessment and music education in the abstract. Now, the boxes on the left do something a little bit different. The boxes on the left allow us to create relationships between the content that we put in the boxes in the middle. So and tells the database it must bring back items that have, in this first example, both assessment and music education. So that narrows our set of given results. Or tells the database it can look for either one, or broadens your search results, gives you more of them. And then not allows you to exclude content from your results by saying this is what I don't want back in my results. So a lot of times what will happen with researchers is they'll do a search and then they'll get back things that they're like, oh, I can see why that might have come back, but that's not really what I want to focus on, or if you're just getting a lot of extemporaneous stuff. So in this example, I'm going to exclude online learning from my assessment and music education search. So I'm going to exclude it only from the abstract. So that means like page 9 might briefly mention online learning, but the summary won't have it in there, so it's not what the whole paper is going to be about. So we're going to exclude online learning. Now when we run this search, instead of 2100 results, we're down to 615. Now there are some additional search options that we can throw in. One of my favorite things to do is called nesting, which involves putting quotation marks around your search terms. This tells the database to look for that concept specifically as a search string. It won't break your words up and look for music one place and education somewhere else. Putting the quotes around it tells the database you've got to look for all of these words together in this order just as I have them inside these quotation marks. There are also other search options that can be very helpful to you. Both truncation and wildcarding allow you to replace characters in words to help you find alternate various forms of the word, alternate spellings, and other different options. Truncation uses the asterisk, that is Shift 8 on your keyboard. Truncation replaces multiple letters in a word. Wildcarding is the question mark key, and that only replaces one letter in a word. If you want more help on truncation and wildcarding, look over on the far right side of your screen. It's not going to be visible on my screen because I'm only capturing the main portion of the screen, but there is a help option on the far right. You can click on that and get a little more information about what truncation and wildcarding are and how they can help you in your search. Now at this point, we may also want to update our content over here on the left-hand side and limit our content to only scholarly and peer-reviewed journals. Our results will update accordingly. Now we're down to 282 results. And then we can also limit by publication date over here on the left. We can either type in the date that we want in the box that says publication date, or we can use the slider bar to give us only the past 10 years, maybe even only the past 5 years, depending on what your topic is and what you're interested in. This will update accordingly to whatever you set that for. And you can see now we've worked our way down to 104 very relevant, great results for our topic in music, education, and assessment. So once you have a set of results that you want to work with, scroll through, click on the title. That will take you to the item record for each particular article. Your PDF will be available as the full text over on the left-hand side. You can click through to that to get the access to that content. You can read the abstract. Notice how it's bolding music education and assessment. This is why we got this back as a result. And your citation information is also available right up here at the top of each article. Now if you move your screen over to the far right side of the page, you will see some tools that are available for organization and keeping you on top of your research. You can get a printer-friendly copy of the article. You can email it to yourself. You can save it to a flash drive. All of these are just options to help you stay on top of your research and not face information overload. There is also a citation feature. It's the little yellow piece of paper, and this will bring up automatically generated citations. The APA style is right here in the middle of the page, but I always tell students to be very careful with this. This is kind of like spell check or autocorrect. It can burn you very easily. These do tend to have things like the date and author and title correct, but a lot of the formatting tends to be off. For example, in this particular article, lessons, the L, and comparative, the C, are the only two things that should be capitalized in this article title according to APA style. So if you just copied and pasted this, you'd have some things wrong with your citation. So be careful, treat it like spell check or autocorrect. Know that it's not going to be able to do everything, but it is helpful in that you don't have to retype all of this. That hard work's already done for you. All you have to do is follow your style guide and make sure that everything conforms properly. Now let's go back to the results list. We are back looking at our 104 results. Sometimes you will come across content that doesn't immediately have full text available, so something like number 3. It has a hyperlink, it says full text from Eric, and this is basically just going to take us out to the government website that runs and hosts Eric to give us our full text. So once we're at the Eric government website, we've got our article for assessment and music education, and we can click to download the PDF over on the right-hand side. This still gives us all the citation information as well as the abstract, and your PDF is available on the right-hand side. You can click there to download it, print it, email it, other options. We're going to go back to the results page. And here we're going to take a look at what happens when we don't have full text immediately available, either through a PDF or through a link to another website. What will happen at this point is you will see the option full text through link source. Link source is basically something that goes out and checks other databases to see if we have access to the content somewhere else. Remember, we're only looking in the education databases made by EBSCO. We could have access to the Journal of Musical Arts in Africa in result number 4. We could have that in one of our ProQuest databases. It could be in JSTOR. It could be in Project MUS. We have lots of different options that it could possibly be in. You don't have to go look in all those different databases yourself. That is what full text through link source does. So we're going to click that. And the next page will indicate whether or not we have full text available in another database. It turns out that we do not have full text to the Journal of Musical Arts in Africa full text in another database, but we can order it for you through interlibrary loan. Interlibrary loan is a process where we go out and borrow things from other libraries. It usually takes about 2 to 3 days to get an article through interlibrary loan, but if you have the citation information, which of course we do, it's right up here at the top, we can pretty much get anything that you would like to have. It's very easy to request an article through interlibrary loan. Just click on the link to request this item. We use a software called Iliad to process all of our interlibrary loan requests. Once you have created an account, you will simply log in with your username and password. But if you are a first-time user, it's very easy to set up an account by clicking on the first-time user link and follow on through. This will take you to the registration page. This basically asks for the same content that an email address would. We just need your name and your ID and your mailing address and all of that vital information. At the bottom, you do need to choose a username and password. This has to be set up separately, but again, you can make it the same thing as all your other stuff if that makes it easier for you to remember. You will hit submit down at the bottom of the page, and then it will log you in to your Iliad account. Once you have logged in, it will open an article request form, and because you've gone in through the database, LinkSource has actually filled in all of the content that you will need to request this item. Always give it an eyeball to check and make sure everything looks okay. Then you can scroll down to the very bottom of the page and click to submit your request. Once you have submitted your request, you'll be able to see your outstanding requests right in the middle of the next page, and you can see what the status is at this time as well. As I said earlier, it usually takes about 2 to 3 days to get an article, depending on the type of volume that we're dealing with at any point in time. We do tend to get things faster in the summer just because there aren't as many students making requests, but we can never guarantee when an article will arrive. When your article is ready, we will send you an email to the account that you registered with. You will log back in to Iliad. You will come over here under View, and you will select Electronically Received Articles. This will take you to a screen that shows you your articles that you have available. Simply click on the PDF icon to open up and view your article. You will then have access to the full text PDF of your article to be able to print, email, save, do whatever you need to do with that content. One thing to keep in mind is that we only keep articles on our servers for 30 days in order to stay copyright compliant. So be sure that you've printed or saved or emailed the content that you need to have before that time. If you have any further questions about interlibrary loan or the Iliad software, please don't hesitate to contact our ILL supervisor, Amanda Bryant. Her telephone number is 501-450-5205, and her email is amandas@uca.edu. So if we don't have full text in any of our databases, interlibrary loan through the Iliad software is how you will make a request to get access to that content. Now we're going to go back to our results list and see what it looks like when LinkSource does take us into another database to get access to particular content. I'm going to scroll through the results list and look for one sort of down the way a little bit. Down here we're going to look at number 44, in the space between a rock and the hard place, states teacher certification guidelines for music education for social justice. Okay, we're going to click full text through LinkSource again because there's no PDF, no full text icon. This time when we click full text, and so LinkSource goes out to find the Journal of Aesthetic Education and see where else we have it. And it turns out we have it in Project MUS. Okay, so we have a couple of different options here, and basically this is just allowing you to either find the article or to find the actual journal. So we want the article, so we always want to look for the little green pieces of paper, because we need the article in the space between the rock and the hard place. We don't need the whole Journal of Aesthetic Education. If you did want to browse through the whole Journal of Aesthetic Education, you could do that by using either of the two bottom links with the white folder next to it. But we always want the actual full text of the article, so we're going to click on the little green pages. That's going to open up for us in the database Project MUS and allow us to have the full text of our entire article. So full text through link source can help you two ways. It can either take you to the full text in another database, or it will connect you with Iliad so that you can make an interlibrary loan request to get the full text of the article that way. So going back to our results list, oftentimes people will ask me under Refine Results over here on the left, should I select this full text option or not? It's totally up to you as the researcher. You create your own search, you put your own content in. If you click that full text box, you will only get things with the little PDF full text icon. But you might miss out on some other great things that you could get either in other databases or through interlibrary loan. So just beware, that's what's going to happen if you do or don't click that particular box. Now I know this video has gotten a little bit long today, and I apologize for that, but there were a lot of key concepts that I wanted to be sure and cover with. That's all I have to share with you guys about searching in the databases for education research topics. We're going to go back to the library's homepage now. And I just want to remind you that if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Again, my name is Amber Wilson. My telephone number is 501-450-3236, and my email address is amberc, A-M-B-E-R-C, @uca.edu. Welcome to the Torreyson Library video tutorial on how to create a library pin. A library pin is needed to get off-campus access to our databases. You can also check your library account online with your library pin. It is very simple to set up a library pin. There are 3 ways you can do it: online, in person, or on the phone. I'm going to walk you through the process of creating an online library pin today, and also give you instructions for doing your pin in person or on the telephone. So we'll want to start at the library's homepage. That's uca.edu/library. You can find us on any of the quick links options from the university's homepage. 4th option down is library. So once you're at our homepage, you'll want to find services and select library pin. You will need 3 pieces of information to create your library pin. You'll need your first and last name, your university ID number, and whatever you want your pin to be. We need all 9 digits on your ID number, including any leading zeros, and your pin is also all numbers. Has to be at least 4 of them, and it can be anything you want. Keep in mind you can make this the same thing as any of your other passwords and pins on campus, but this is completely separate and must be set up separately. Whether you have had a pin in the past or if this is your first time setting up a library pin, you can check both of those options from this page. If you think you remember your library pin, go ahead and enter that into the box and click Submit and see if it logs you into your online library account. If that happens, congratulations, you have successfully remembered your pin. If you know that you have absolutely forgotten your pin, there is an option down at the bottom of the page to reset your pin. Click on the Forgot Your Pin link. It'll ask you for your name and ID number. It will then generate an email to your UCA account. Log into your UCA email, find that message from us. It will contain a link that will allow you to come back, clear out your old pin, and create a new pin. Or, if this is your first time to ever create a pin, Once you hit that submit button, it's just going to take you to a new screen that asks you to enter your PIN again to make sure you didn't have any mistakes and misspellings. Then once you hit submit for that final time, you should then see your library account on the next page. You'll know you've been successful with setting up your PIN when you can see your name at the top left of the next page. At this point, you can also see what books you have checked out, what their due dates are, and you can renew items online as well. If you get any red error messages or run into any other problems, you can always go back to the directions page and give us a call either at the circulation desk or at the reference desk. Those phone numbers are listed here. It's 450-5224 and 450-3174. Either desk can help you with this information. Or you may simply wish to walk into the library, talk to somebody, and set up your PIN that way. That is another option. Anyone at our circulation desk would be happy to help you at any time setting up your library PIN. This concludes the tutorial for how to create a library PIN. My name is Amber Wilson. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. My phone number is 501-450-3236, and my email address is amberc@uca.edu. Thank you very much. Have a great day.